Alrighty, folks, it's Thursday night. Tonight is July the 14th, folks. It is the middle of July already. Welcome to Hunting the Rut Hotline, folks. You got some questions, and we're going to have some answers tonight. And as we talk, everybody listens, and you can tell we're already past the mountaintop because more people are wanting to call in, more people are doing. Everybody's thinking about it. We're over the mountain, and you'll see over the mountain and start the incline up toward hunting season. Everybody's gearing toward it. Your favorite sporting goods stores getting stuff in. Fishing season, though, in a lot of places is still going on, but they are bringing their fall stuff in, and pretty soon all the big classics, the Bass Pro and the Cabela's, they'll have all their classics. Everything's kicking off. It is that time of year, and folks, it is Thursday night. Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to kick this bad boy off. See you in just a second.
You don't like old milk. Deer don't like old urine. Brown and cloudy urine reeks of ammonia. Ammoniated urine means it's old, not fresh, and it doesn't fool deer. Top Secret Deer Scents, the only scent on the market that's oxygen-free from collection to bottle. It's yellow and clear because it's fresh. It's the only scent on the market that says a deer is here now and not last week.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back. We're going to get this show started tonight. Listen, folks, it comes around every Thursday night. Tell your friends you got time. It's a 1-hour show. Get time, text them, call them, and say, hey, guys, tune in and listen to the questions. Feel free to call in. Sometimes people, they want to ask, or you'll see them somewhere, and they'll say, I want to call in, but I'm just scared to ask a question. You feel free. If you want to call in and you're not sure if you really want to do that, hey, Facebook us, email us. Get the question to us because, folks, I assure you, for having spent 30 years doing seminars, people have questions, and the questions are not crazy questions. They're always relevant questions to where that hunter is and what his thought process is. And this show is trying to get everybody on the same process. It's sort of like I don't know if you've ever seen the $1 Million Marching Band at Alabama, but if you got really and truly any marching band, but they're all going one way. Let one guy go out, and that's the one you see. Well, what we're trying to do is get all the chicks together, all going down the same way, understanding when the rut is, what it's about, and the mindset of that white-tailed deer in relation to where you live. It's not a complicated thing. The number one problem most hunters have is they overthink it. They want to overthink it, and everybody's got variation on it. But folks, listen to me. Ears, eyes, nose. Ears, eyes, nose. That's what they got. And if you understand pressure in relation to ears, eyes, nose, they react. And based off of where they at and what time of year it is and what the mindset of the animal is how they react. And so that's understanding, and that's what this show's about. Now, a whitetail's a whitetail's a whitetail anywhere in North America. The difference is topography and pressure, where you hunt them. I'll hunt them differently in Iowa and flat. They're going to live in the corn. And you cut that corn, they're going to travel those ditches. But here in Alabama, North Florida, the southeast, man, it's thick. You got to set up on top of them. You really got to know what that deer's doing, or you're not going to get to see that given deer. Now, you'll see deer, but not necessarily that given deer. What this show is designed for, and we know that it's helping because we hear these people. Well, heck, you hear these people calling in and say, I never thought about it that way. We applied that, and here's what happened. Well, it's understanding cause and effect, understanding ears, eyes, nose. Ears, eyes, nose. Teach basics. It's like baseball, football. You got to drill the basics. It's got to be instinctive to understand the basics. Get that down, then everything else is topography and pressure. And that, you can't control topography, but you can, to a certain extent, control pressure on your piece of property. But once you can't control it, then you'll know how to react to that pressure because you're understanding, or best guess to understand, which way that animal's going to react to it in light of that pressure and what time of year the pressure is. And that's what this show's about. That's the reason why we do it 52 weeks a year. I was telling somebody today, they said, what you doing tonight? I said, it's Thursday night. They said, well, I said, it's Thursday night. We've got a show. I said, we do it every Thursday night. And I said, that's every Thursday night. Now, there's a reason for that. Deer don't go on vacation because you and I are doing something else. They're still doing the same stuff out there or variations on it as season starts approaching. This show is about understanding 12 months out of the year what a deer's doing. All of a sudden, August 15th, early season opens up in the U.S. is the southern zone of South Carolina. They just didn't fall out of a tree all of a sudden off of the moon and bang, they're in South Carolina and they started doing stuff. They've been there since season ended last year, and they've been doing stuff since season ended last year. And if you understand that stuff, then you can understand how to react to them and how to set up on them. We got to think like predators. Predators study their prey. It's instinctive in humans. We're top of the food chain. We just need to act like it, and in a more consistent way without overthinking it. So, having said that, a couple of things. First of all, we're going to start showing you, as we showed you last week, the seminars. They start coming up, and please note that each week we show you this. Don't say, oh yeah, he was talking about that last week. No. Double check your dates, because things happen. We add some, so you may gloss over and say, oh, I've already seen August, and that can very well change from one week to the next week. So double check that. And also, last week, we've been running some specials, and for the callers that call in. And last week we had Dave Enright. Dave called in last week. That had the map and stuff, and actually he's called in twice. He's going to keep us informed. You remember last week we showed you that, and guys, feel free to do that. What Dave did took a little bit of effort to do, but it's a great way for you to see concretely on his piece of property how we're talking about doing what he's doing, and then you can do your property. So feel free to go to Google Map, do your property, kind of show us where your stands are, maybe the road goes in, and that way we'll know how to get in and out and hunt your piece of property. But Big Dave right there from Preston, Minnesota, he chose estrus last week, the deer bladder, and I think tonight we're going to have the callers coming in is going to have a choice between the privilege, estrus, or buck. Look here, folks, season's coming up. We're getting you ready. It's all about you, so call in. Feel free to tell your friends, Facebook in. Folks, it is going to be a busy season this year. We got some good stuff coming up, and we're going to take a look. Can we go ahead and start doing some? Yep, okay, good. As a reminder, don't think that we're forgetting about you on the Facebook and stuff questions. We will ramp up, we'll catch up, we'll get behind, we'll catch up, okay? So Marvin Swain out of Iowa, what does the term west? I think we answered that one last week, didn't we? Or is this a different person? Different person? All right. Well, the lockdown, same answer as last week. That is a misnomer. I say it's a misnomer. It's just not something everybody has. There's not a consensus on why that happens. But, buddy, we flat understand it. It's been going on for 10, 15 years in Alabama, and it seems like it just gets concretely in Alabama, folks. In case you're booking a hunt, don't come the first, second, or third week really the second and third week of December. Won't do you no good. It's hard to even shoot a dang doe in the state of Alabama during that time. They go to the moon, they go somewhere, but they're not. But see the tracks everywhere. Tracks everywhere, just no deer. So Jane, Albany, New York, it always fascinates to see where all these people come from. All right, so we're in Iowa, now we're in New York. Does every buck have a different unique smell that other deer can decipher? Yes. All animals carry a uniqueness of their scent. That's how one can tell one from the other. That's how they can tell hierarchical, whether one's dominant, one's less dominant. The pecking order, be it a buck or be it a doe, be it a male or be it a female, you're going to have the pecking order in that. And those animals can tell that pecking order. Somebody ain't got to run up there and say, "Ooh, wait a minute, you know, he's a dominant buck." You can tell whether or not he is in those, whether it's a fawn, a doe, a young buck, a button buck, or a mature buck. They can tell. So the answer is, Jane, is definitely yes. Okay, I believe we got a caller on. All righty. All righty, got Don Bell. Who we talking to?
Hey, Don. Hey, this is Bob Nycom from Indiana.
All right, Big Bob, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you been?
Man, I've been doing good. I've been doing real
great.
good. Is it,
Hey, sorry I haven't been able to get back with you guys here lately. It's been kind of crazy around this neck of the woods.
yeah, you try to call in there, but it's, you busy, aren't you?
Yes, it's been busy. So.
Not the good kind of busy, huh?
Oh yeah.
Well, Bob, good to talk to you. Listen, it's already July 14th, 15th here, mid-season. Everything's gearing now toward the fall. I mean, you know, all the stores are stocking. They're gearing up. Hunters are thinking about it. I mean, you're going to see more around the office talking about it. Season's coming in. You know, they're approaching season, getting ready to come in. Listen, do you realize in South Carolina, August 15th, you're 30 days from season coming in the state of South Carolina, southern zone of the state of South Carolina?
I didn't know that. No.
It comes in August 15th.
I'll be darned.
Yep. So.
I wonder why it's so early.
Well, it's a lot of reasons there. You know, it's just in the southern zone, and deer population. And they have all, if you want to kill a buck in velvet, of course they're all going to be in velvet there. That's when you can kill one in velvet. You know, you hear hunters say, "Oh, I wish I could kill me one in velvet." All you got to do is go to state of South Carolina August 15th. They're still in velvet.
Well, I might have to make a trip down there because I need one in velvet.
Well, you better bring you some of our BioShield, dude, because there's some mosquitoes down there to tote you off. There's some big boys down there.
I'll bring you something strong, then.
I guarantee you. Well, what kind of question, Bob, you got for us tonight?
Well, actually, if you don't mind, I got two questions.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Yeah, fine.
One, I really don't understand. Back here in Indiana, we call it the blue tongue disease.
Right.
What causes that, and how does it affect the deer, and what makes them, you know, I'm trying to find the proper word, die, I guess. I mean, what is it, the heat? Is it the, what actually is blue tongue and what causes it? And
well, blue tongue,
things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, blue tongue, you know, you don't hear about it as much as you used to, and it kind of comes in spells. But what causes blue tongue is small flies. We were discussing it before. We call it a midget. But have you ever heard of a no-see-um?
Yes, I have.
If you ever come down to Florida, you'll know. If you hadn't heard about them, you'll know before you leave. They're an extremely small flying insect, and they got teeth about the size of a pickup truck. And when they bite you, they get you. And what happens is the blue tongue is a direct result of these small flying insects, and it comes and goes, but like a swarm. And you primarily find blue tongue. Normally, when you hear about blue tongue, if you're not talking to a hunter, because that's where they get that from, is deer. But talking about deer, but normally you find it in sheep, goats. Okay. It's kind of more in sheep, goats. You know, it and the deer, but it's all caused by the same stuff. Where it can be more prevalent, and now what I'm about to tell you is going to be an oxymoron, but told to you about moron. But what happens is that the flies, where they're really prevalent when it's dry. But yet, where you're going to see blue tongue show up is after a drought or during a drought. And normally, if it hits, say, an area, it can happen anywhere. It happens It can happen in any state, in any area, but it tends to be in a drought zone or a drought period. But believe it or not, in the flip side of that is one of the things that can give them a growth spurt is after a rain. You know, almost, have you seen the things with these frogs where they go dormant for years and then it'll rain and all of a sudden they start coming up out of the ground, you know? So you got a combination of that. And when they bite them, first of all, a human can't get it. It's non-transferable from one animal to the other. You know, a lot of times you'll come up on a deer that's died or something with blue tongue, and you know, he can have a variety of signs. Obviously, if he's dead, it could be several signs there, but it could be anything from excess slava to, you know, the where they get the blue tongue from is it can settle down into the jaw area and stuff, into the lips and stuff. It can even affect the feet area, especially the what do you call that right around the toenail? I mean your fingernail there. The what? Cuticle area of the hoof. So it can be something that. It's not something we can control. It's more of a nature thing. It can show up and it can go away, and it just kind of runs its course. Because it happened here in Indiana probably, I'm going to say probably 2 years ago, I think, maybe 3 years ago. Was it just in a certain area? Excuse me? Well, how big an area was it in? It was in the northern part of Indiana. Okay. But it was in the northern part of Indiana, but it happened about 2 years ago, I do believe. A bunch of us, you know, I mean, everybody that we were talking to, you know, I mean, people were finding them left and right, and then does it give them a fever? Yes. What, yes. Okay, is that what? It could be a gradation of things, depending on how bad it is. You know, you can have like you can get a cold and then you can catch pneumonia. It can develop into pneumonia. Some they're not bitten as much. It kind of got the bug. Some gets it and it develops right on through because you know they got multiple bites, and it's like getting stung by a bee versus a swarm of bees. But you know it's a small biting fly. And, you know, you ever seen horse flies? You ever been bit by a horse fly? Dude, that just it makes me so mad when one of them suckers bites me. And what's bad is he'll hang around and try to do it again. Well, they'll come back and get you again. Dude, I mean, it's like, you know, it's personal. It's sort of like that, but way small. And when you say and I say the word swarm, and we're not thinking like a birds or, you know, a swarm of birds coming in or bees. It's because they're so little, it's hard to see them. But they just irritate the fool. You can see it on horses and stuff. They'll shake. They'll just kind of quiver to make them go off and stuff. That's not even them. You can see those flies come off of them, horse flies or any other fly. But it's caused by that, and it can be a gradation. Now, you said that you found some. You shot some during season, or you found some dead? Or you saw some dead already. Yeah, we already found some dead, and most of them were in water. You know, or getting close to the water. Like, right. You know, like they had a fever. Right, exactly. They'll go to water. They're trying to get to the water source. Right. Well, yeah, listen, and now I'm gonna tell you something. You already probably know this, but it's not getting off of the subject, but it's directly related to the white-tailed deer. If you shoot a deer, you shoot a deer, you knock a deer down, that deer gets up and goes off, and you can't find him. If you will start tracking toward water, more times than not, if that deer's not dead, in other words, I'm not talking about a blood trail now. I'm not talking about you shot him and you lost the blood trail. I'm talking about you knocked him down and he got up and he left. Right? That deer's going to go to water. He's going to go to the nearest body of water and he's going to get in it. and it's a natural, instinctive thing to go do that. They know they're hurt, and they're going to go to water to stop the bleeding, to get into the water. I can't tell you how many times all over this country we've done that, and I said, dude, we got to go to the water, and go look, and he'd be laying in the water, or I've even shot him and get there, and the nose and the eyes and the antlers back would be in the water, and just his nose and eyes would be sticking up out of the creek.
I've had that before. That's not fun getting in the water.
Yeah, well, it's it's a natural. So now, having said that, you can get gradations of this, like a cold, and then you start getting a sniffly nose, and then you get thirsty, and you try to keep plenty of fluids in your body. Well, animals understand the same thing. That's the reason you can tell if a dog's diabetic. Because they'll just drink water. And, so I've got some schnauzers, and I constantly watch for that. I had one, he's 14 years old. I had to put him down here last year. But, so yes, they can do that. Out of the deer you found, did they all have the same physical signs, or was there variations of signs?
I'd probably say, I'm going to guess probably half and half, probably. Maybe a little bit more about the exact same signs, maybe. I found a few, and then the few people I've also talked to, they described about the exact same thing, that I would describe. So,
it could be, it could be anything from running eyes to slava, to the swelling of the face, to the lip area, jaw.
Yeah, it's mostly in the face area.
Yeah. You can even find it in the hoof area, down in the leg part. Because what happens is they'll get immobile and not wanting as much, and it'll just kind of settle in. But what time of year were you finding these?
It was...
Was it during deer?
It was close to opening season, and then no wait a minute. It was probably still 2 months before season, I think.
Yeah, so you're in the
season here is in October.
Yeah, you're in the tail end of summer and stuff. But one of the things they found, oddly enough, is that if you have it there, then you're more likely to have it back there, and they're not 100% sure that why all that is always the case. But it's almost like somebody, if you ever get a poison ivy, you're more tend to get it again. Not because it's just that you can just come in the neighborhood of it, and you're more likely to get it again. And so the blue tongue is kind of it comes and goes. That's the reason why people don't talk about it all the time, because they'll forget about it, and all of a sudden. How long ago was it when you seen it in Indiana?
How long ago has it been?
Yeah,
like 2-3 years ago when we found them.
Okay. Yep.
Now, is blue tongue the proper name, or is there another name that's proper for blue tongue? Because that's what we call it here.
Yeah, I mean, everybody calls it blue tongue. That's because the word's about 20 foot long, and Steve, if Steve was here, he could tell me what it is, and better yet, he could pronounce it. So, but everybody knows it as blue tongue. I mean, even vets and stuff would call it blue tongue.
Yeah, well, it's pretty sad. I mean, we found I'm not really a trophy hunter by no means, but we found a real nice 12. And, he was already deceased, and so, the blue tongue got a hold of him. And it was a real nice, buck. So,
well, you can see that.
It kind of gets to you when you see something like that, and so. Well,
it's like death. It's no respecter of age or person or nationality. It happens, and they're going to bite whatever they land on.
Yep, that's what it sounds like.
And but to get blue tongue, you've been bit a few times, and that's the problem. Is have you ever hunted in Canada? Up any part of?
I fish in Canada all the time.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going there August the 5th.
Well, then you understand up there about them stinking black flies.
Yes, I know all about them.
Well, all right, now imagine miniature midget black flies.
Yeah, I know all about them.
You can't even breathe for fearing you're gonna breathe them suckers up your nose. But
Yep.
but that's kind of like it is, but much, 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 much smaller. But there's nowhere for the animal to go. I mean, where are you gonna get unless you just go get and stay in the water? Then your head's out of the water, and if they're there, they're gonna bite. I mean, can you imagine being in that kind of situation? It'd just be terrible. But
Yeah.
But yes, and you could go the rest of your life and not have it there. Then again, you could have it next year. Just kind of one of those things in nature.
Okay, so it pretty much just comes and goes.
It does, and it tends to follow any kind of drought area or periods of that, and then and oddly enough, again, it can be expanded by or more intense after rain. If you've ever been down in our part of the world, I was talking to somebody today has moved down here, and they were going to do something, and they said, but it rains. Now, here it rains every afternoon, and then it turns 900% humidity. It was 100% humidity before that, but as soon as it rains, it's 900% humidity because all the asphalt and the humidity, it's just terrible. And then the sun will come back out.
Way here.
Well, you can't get away from it. Yeah, you just can't get away from it. It's time of year, and imagine being out there in those woods with no wind.
Exactly.
It's just so.
I can understand a little bit better now. Then, so,
yeah. Well, you said you had a couple of questions.
Yeah, the other one is I might ruffle some feathers here. I bow hunt, crossbow, shotgun, muzzleloader. They just opened up a rifle season here in Indiana.
Okay.
And to me, I'm totally against it. That's just me, though. I voiced my opinion already on the DNR page. Because even like during the rut, all the deer are in the woods. And, they might be 30 yards from you, 40 yards from you. And if you've been in Indiana, we're pretty flat here.
Yeah.
So,
what part of Indiana?
What problems have been, tree stand accidents, But I think this year now, and I really hate to say it, but I think everybody's going to go out and buy a license just because, hey, I can use a rifle. And, I'm privileged enough to have my own land to where, I won't have to worry about that. Even though I got rifles, I'm still going to take my shotgun and my muzzleloader. But, what I'm thinking about is, if people are out there with rifles and, let's say a deer shots across a cornfield 150 yards away, and there might be a dad and a son on the other side of the woods, and, this guy starts shooting at this, deer that's shot, and, there's all kinds of scenarios, but
yeah,
I'm just not really.
Well, let me ask you a question. Hey, now, you've grown up in Indiana, correct?
That's right.
All right, and so what part of Indiana? I know you're in Freelandville, but where's that? What part of the state's that in? Where are you in relation to Indianapolis? North, south, east, west?
We are south of Indy.
South of Indy, or are you? Which side of the interstate you on? 65. East, west?
We're west.
Oh, so you're between Louisville and Indy then?
Yes. Yeah.
Aren't you? Are you near Crane, Indiana?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm about probably 35 minutes from there.
Yeah, you're east of Crane.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we were talking, somebody else we were talking, the Navy bases in Crane, Indiana.
Yes.
Munitions base. It's crazy to have a Navy base in Crane, Indiana. But anyway, there's where you ought to hunt, man. Now, there's some deer in that place. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Do they let you hunt it now?
Yeah, you can. You got to get picked, and then of course the handicap. Which that's a good thing. The handicap can always hunt there, but I think the way it goes there, you got to. I think it's like a drawing, and you got to get picked.
Yeah, well, the reason I say, but so that part of the state I'm familiar with. I was in school in Louisville and went to Crane every weekend. So, but having said that, a rifle something's new to. Is it new to the state? Period.
Yes, it's new to Indiana. Yes.
Okay.
Indiana's never had a rifle season.
Have you ever had what am I trying to say? Dang, Don. A slug season with shotgun?
Yeah. We got slugs.
If you got a slug, you got a rifle because they bore those shotguns in, and did they ban scopes, or can you put a scope on the shotgun?
Excuse me?
When they allow you to shoot a slug, do they allow you to put scopes on the shotgun?
Yeah.
Well, say you got a rifle. You just got a big ass rifle,
Okay.
But now the difference is, in that is that your scenario. I grew up in Alabama and hunt all over where you can use a rifle, but it does have long distance. But the thing to it is that you're looking through the scope, seeing what you ought to be shooting. Now, do they have just a rifle season or gun season?
I don't know how it's going yet. They just passed it, so I don't know if there's going to be a gun season and then a rifle season, or if they're going to combine them together.
Right.
I don't know how it's going to go yet.
See, in Alabama, where I grew up and where I live, is that November 21st is gun season. I don't care if you shoot them with a shotgun or slug or rifle, or we even have a spear season in Alabama. Now I'm not making that up. I'm talking about a spear, like a caveman spear.
Yeah, I've seen that on the hunting show before.
I know
that'd be pretty cool to do.
I know of no one that's ever done it. If you think a buck could jump a string on a bow, imagine what he'd do with a spear. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And if it can be done, these boys in Alabama, these rednecks in Alabama, they're gonna do it or have done it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know of anybody that uses it. But anyway, it's correctly. There's nothing wrong with rifle hunting. It's different to you because you guys hadn't had it. It'll be new for a couple of years, and then people will go back to what they're doing.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, because I just think everybody's going to go out and buy a license now, and I think it's going to hurt the deer population because everybody says, all right, I can go out and shoot it with a rifle now. So
well,
I'm just thinking about the deer, the deer population, and
well, they still can only take so many deer, right? Whether they so their tags is what it is. It's just no matter at that point how they shoot them, but into it's a little more expensive to get into a rifle and scope than it is a shotgun. So I think it'll be okay. I don't know of any real problems that any state's got. And believe it or not, more and more states are opening up to rifle. Even those that went to shotgun with a slug, and then and what happened is they just created a bigger rifle because it went from that to a bored shotgun barrel to a scope. You just had a big rifle, so they just said, heck, let them go back to shooting rifles. But now I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Yeah, well, maybe you're right, but it's just, I don't know, it's different now, because we've been just so used to using, just a shotgun and muzzle loader, and, we've been doing that forever, so I don't know, maybe after this year it'll calm back down.
Well, let us know how it goes.
Back to normal, so.
Yeah, let us know if you see an uptick in people buying rifles and shooting. Let's see now that they've got the opportunity if they expand it. And hey, it'd be interesting to know there too if that's if there's an expansion, is that new people coming in, or is that existing people such as yourself taking up the rifle over against a crossbow or a muzzle loader or a shotgun?
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
can find that out when the season comes around, and next time I talk to you guys, which I'll be talking to you quite a bit, I'll let you know what the percentage was.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
If it did go up or if it did go down or whatever. But
sounds good.
So when it does come in, I definitely will let you know. The percentage wise of it. All
right. Well, listen, we appreciate you calling in, Bob, and don't run the roads up there too much.
Yeah, it's pretty warm right now. I just got in from checking the trail cameras. Going to go in there and put them in the computer and
see what you found.
I've got out there in my woods, working right now. So
well, keep us.
But like always, it's a pleasure talking to you guys.
Well, listen, we appreciate you calling in, Bob. We really do, man. It's nice to have people that calls in from over and over that we get to talk. You get to know people, and listen, and like the blue tongue. I mean, that's a great question, and there's other people wondering that, and so there's no such thing as a silly question, and it's always a relevant question. So we appreciate you doing it. Let us know on the rifle season. Call back in and let us know.
I will certainly let you guys know what the percentage was.
All right.
So I'll definitely do that.
Appreciate it, Bob. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Hey, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Bob. You too.
All right.
Bye-bye. All righty, folks. Be right back. Take a quick commercial break.
You don't like old milk. Deer don't like old urine. Brown and cloudy urine reeks of ammonia. Ammoniated urine means it's old, not fresh, and it doesn't fool deer. Top Secret Deer Scents, the only scent on the market that's oxygen-free from collection to bottle. It's yellow and clear because it's fresh. It's the only scent on the market that says a deer is here now and not last week.
All righty, folks, we back. They're in there going this to me, and sooner or later it gets down to one and they scream at me. Okay, hey, we're live. Okay, we're back. No, we're not. We got a caller on the phone. Folks, we're live. All right, let's see who we got. Yeah, come on, phone. All right. I think it's going to ring. High tech. We are high tech. All righty, got Don Bell. Who we talking to?
This is Jody in Double Springs, Alabama.
Double Springs, Jody. Where's Double Springs?
North of Jasper. You know where Jasper is?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking Tunnel Springs. That's down there in Monroe County. That's south of me.
Double Springs, like double mint gum.
Yeah, I know it, but there's a anyway, but a Double Springs. All right, big guy, big club member. You. What kind of question you got for us tonight?
Well, I actually got two questions.
All right.
One of them, hopefully you can help me with.
All righty.
And we'll get into that one. I found a scrape last year, Mr. Don. I put a camera on it. I used Hot Mama foam.
Right.
Put in it, and the buck foam in it, and I got to seeing bucks, had 4 different bucks on it using it. And I started doing it, kind of watching your shows in the past. You go in a certain time of the day and do it and try to stay consistent with that. When the deer started coming in early, they started coming in at 11 o'clock, and they got early at 3 a.m. Well, you can't hunt them in 3 a.m.
Right.
My question is, what can I do different to get them deer coming in during daylight hours?
What time of year is this? Of course, you're in Alabama. You're hunting over a primary scrape.
It seemed to be. Like I said, I had like 5 different deer visiting the scrape. 2 of them were real good bucks.
What time of year was it? Best guess.
Around Christmas time.
Okay, well you could still be getting into some primary scrapes in. Of course, a primary scrape, Jody, is always underneath an overhanging limb. You can't mistake it. It's always underneath an overhanging limb. And if you get down and look, you don't even have to get down and look at it. You can just step downwind. You can smell it. You can tell if a buck's marked it. A primary scrape is nothing more than a master bedroom. And so a buck puts his ruddy noter in it. When his neck's swollen, he urinates over his tarsals back inside the leg of the deer. He urinates as he rubs them together. It mixes with the muss, deposits it into the scrape, and then he'll take his feet and he'll paw at it. And all deer bucks have what's called an interdigital gland located between the hoof. And you and I, if you were to, it's almost like toe jam, it's a waxy type substance. But anyway, if we smell it, we can't really smell it as much. But put together with that, that's his personal rutting odor. That's your odor versus my odor versus Tom's odor, right? So that buck, you put that in there. He put it in there to tell all the other bucks to stay away. A buck marks the scrape for 2 reasons. Now, I'm telling you this to concretely answer your question. He does it to tell all the other bucks to stay out. He also does it to tell all the girls to come in. Now, he's checking it to see if there's any girls come in. Now, his mindset is he wants to smell a doe. But if you come home and smell Old Spice cologne knowing you don't wear Old Spice, you're mad, right? So, because you had your heart set on a doe, but what you find is you got a buck in your master bedroom rather than a doe, okay? So now understanding that, now then let's ask that question in light of that. So your question is whether or not, how can you make him get closer to you? If you got a buck that's nocturnal, and he's moving, and anybody can do this, but you won't necessarily have you're going to have this kind of success during over a primary scrape, because a primary scrape, that buck's checking it, right? A secondary scrape, he's just kind of hitting and leaving. So you are at a primary scrape. What you do is you go in. It does not matter what time of day you do this, but you got to be, Jody, you got to be consistent. Take our buck urine. It doesn't matter if it's liquid or foam. Take our buck urine. Kill your human odor. Use the scent defense and go in and kill your odor. Just like if you were going to hunt. How far do you live from your property?
About an hour.
Well, let's say that you're going to hunt. Let's say you go up Thursday and you go hunt Saturday. If you got a nocturnal buck and on that camera you're seeing that good buck coming there every night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, what you want to do is you want to get out, go in, and you don't have to go 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. What you want to do is go in, let's say you get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. It could be 10 o'clock, it could be 1 o'clock, it don't matter, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But you got to be consistent. So here we go. Wednesday, we get up and we're in there at 8 o'clock in the morning. You kill your human odor, you walk into his master bedroom at primary scrape, and you fill that sucker full of buck urine. Now then, the first time it sees oxygen is when it hit, right? So now then, that buck that comes in at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, he smells that. He's going to react to it, right? Now he knows he's got Old Spice in there. And what he's going to do, typically what they'll do is he'll tear it scrape up and he'll remark it. You ought to be able to see him do it on film. He'll tear it scrape up, he'll get bigger, he'll mark in it again. He's telling you, hey, get your butt out of here. Very important. You know, I don't think I've ever told anybody to do this in light of doing it, filming it the way you're talking about, because you'll see this. You ought to do this. So now then you're at 3 o'clock, you see the deer reacting to it. Next morning at 8 o'clock, same time, very important. Kill your human odor just like you go hunt. You go in there, you put buck urine, the same buck out of that bottle, 1 buck, no oxygen, right back in his face at 8 o'clock that morning. That next night when that buck comes in, he smells that, he's going to say, hey, dude, I told you to get your butt out of here. And that scrape's going to get bigger and deeper and mark more. And what'll happen is, because you came in at the same time each time, the earlier he comes in, the fresher it is. So what's going to happen is, each day you coming in consistent, he smells it, and the closer he checks it, the fresher it is. The fresher it is, it's going to keep making him want to come closer to catch you there. You know, surely you've heard me talk about coming home smelling Old Spice cologne. You know, if you after a football game, you go home tonight and you walk in your master bedroom and you smell you get off from work at 11 o'clock. You go home and you walk in your bedroom and you smell Old Spice cologne. Just so strong, just like that sucker went out the window. I mean, you have your two say about it. You tear the house up and you put your foot down, you stomp, and you do all this kind of crazy stuff. And you say, look here, that ain't going to happen no more. Well, the next night, 11:15, time you get home, you smell Old Spice again, just like you went out the bathroom window. Friday night, just like you went out the bathroom window. What you bet you punch out early Saturday night and come home early. And the reason you do that is because each night for several nights, you smell Old Spice cologne so strong, it's just like he went out the door, right? So you know he's there. But if you come home one night and smell Old Spice cologne strong, and the next night you come home and it's kind of faint, you don't know, was that from last night or was that earlier today? You don't know when he was there. So it's real important to put that buck urine in there every day at the same time. Now, if it's anybody else's scent, now watch how important oxygen-free is. If you use anyone else's scent, theirs is already ammoniated. So when you pour it out, it's already old. So that buck don't know the difference between if you're every day at 6, every morning at 8 o'clock for a week, he don't know the difference because it's already ammoniated. Ours, the first time you pour it out, is the first time it sees oxygen. So the closer he gets to it, he can tell the difference. So, you know, that's how animals know how long it's been since another animal was there. And so it will make a difference. And I tell you what you do, Bob, you'll be able to see it. If you do what I just said on camera, check them cameras this year, you'll be able to see that deer reacting to what we're talking about, and watch your time on your camera. Watch it start getting earlier. I've never, that just dawned on me that by you saying film that, and all the years I've been doing this, so that's what's neat about this show. You can see what I'm telling you. I tell people to do it, and people say, hey, I did it, and I killed this buck, and yeah, he did. But I don't know if anybody that's ever filmed it, but in fact, you can do it. If you got a game camera on it, you'll see it. You'll start seeing him coming closer and closer because he's reacting to what you're doing. Ears, eyes, nose. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's, and I don't know if you missed the first part of my question there was, no, I was doing that, and instead of the deer coming in daylight hours, like you went from like 11 o'clock at night until 3 o'clock in the morning, and you could never get that deer to show his face during daylight hours. There's anything different? No, I have went in, killed my human odor, done, no, except I've been watching your show for a while, Mr. Don, and I've tried that, and I'm looking for, I know there's no magic pill, no magic formula that the deer are going to do what they're going to do sometime, but anything different can make him come there during daylight hours. Like I said, he went from coming in at 11 o'clock at night to 3 o'clock in the morning.
He went from
a deer going in there messing with the scent I'm putting in, or
no? Wait a minute. He was coming in at 11 o'clock at night. You started doing what I'm saying, and then he moved up to 3 o'clock in the morning, but he wouldn't come past.
11 to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and this was during the peak of the rut? No, this was our Christmas time.
Yeah, this time of the year now, I'm kind of tried again this year, because you know as well as no living where you at, that the season goes to February now, which is new here, and it may be better in February. It might be closer to the true rut, and that's what's going on.
Yeah, well, yeah, it you know, how can I say this? Deer, ears, eyes, nose are very habitual. Everything that we tell you, and if anybody tells you any different, it's just they tell you that a deer's going to react the same way every time. They're lying to you, and they're lying to themselves. Because a whitetail is he's phenomenally predictable, but he can do some crazy stuff, right? So,
yes,
but it could have been he just wasn't as hot, or meaning hot, I mean in full rut. Did you see any footage of him working the scrape, or just showing up at the scrape?
No, he was working the overhead branch, and he was working the scrape. Every time he come in there, he was working it.
Were you putting buck urine in it?
Yes, sir. I kind of did put it in the same spot, but in the same scrape.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
On one side of the scrape and buck urine on the other side of the scrape.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The only other thing you could do, because typically what people, normally when people ask me that question, they've already tried to grunt him out, they've already tried to rattle him out, they've already tried to decoy him out. Did you try any of those in connection with that?
I done grunting.
All right.
I grunted.
I hear them without knowing the lay of the land, but let's think about where the scrape is, how you come into it. That last day, you could take you a decoy in there where he could see. But are you bow hunting?
I do it all.
All right.
I go from bow season to rifle season.
All right, so you're in gun season then, so you could reach out there and touch him then. So what you could do is you could go in there and put that do like you're doing, and then put a visual on his butt. And put a visual on him, and then grunt. Have you heard him in and around you and just not come in, or just not seen him?
Not seen him or hear him during legal shooting hours. No.
Okay, all right. Is he a good big buck, or just an older buck, or?
I still think he probably got some growing this year, but he was a good 9 point, real good 9. And he's probably not a real mature buck, but he's still got some growth to go to him.
Was his neck good and swollen in the film?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me answer it like this. Bucks and I'm telling you, I'm bad on analogies. Bucks are like men. If men were like bucks, every telephone pole up and down the interstate be tore up, right? But a buck is like a man. I can walk up to Chris and say, Chris, you have a very beautiful wife. And he says, Don, well, thank you. I could say, Jody, you have a beautiful wife. We're in company. We're in a mix. We're in a function somewhere. And you say, well, Don, thank you. I can turn to Tom and say, Tom, you got a very beautiful wife, and he wants to knock my dang head off. And the reason for it is all men we all don't have the same our jealousy factor is greater in others than others. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that that's the case with this buck. I'm just saying you have to be aware of it. I've seen bucks break and run from a scrape it remind me of an old cat I had, George. A cat could come in the front yard, and that cat would I've never seen a cat do this, but that cat, except this one, little bitty thing too. George would get up and run way 100 yards out to the driveway and try to catch that cat and run him out of the yard. I've seen bucks do that. I've seen bucks turn loose and break and run to a buck. Little buck, big buck, it wouldn't make any difference. They were just jealous as all get out, dude. Then I've seen big bucks allow other subordinate bucks come within 20 yards of them. But if you ever see that, you watch that other buck, more times than not, that buck's tail is going to be tucked and the ears up, and the head down. They're more of a submissive posture to him. And so he senses it. He knows who he is. He says, "Okay, I'll let you go." Some of them just wants to flat put a butt whipping on you. So throw you a decoy in there on top of him and let us know what you find out.
Okay.
Did you say you had 2 questions?
Yeah, my next question, like you said, those silly questions on my action anyway. Now the true rut, the difference between, when a doe comes in heat, but she's running, she's not in heat. It's not the rut.
Right.
And when she's standing, that's actually the true rut.
Yeah, that's peak. That's the peak of the rut.
And the doe's not ready to stand. Will that doe in heat scent scare other does off from coming in the area? Even though she's not willing to be fooled with by a buck, will she take a buck away from the area?
Well,
because she's smelling a doe in heat in her area.
Well, you're asking a couple questions there. Let me clarify it. If you use estrus scent, first of all, the peak is when the majority of the does are standing.
Right.
The rut's the entire hunting season, but the peak, what most people call the rut, is really the peak. Peak simply being that's when the majority of the does are standing and not running. That's what it means to be in estrus. They're in full estrus. They're not running. They're standing. Now, if I pour in that scrape you're talking about, if you were to go pour, in fact, that's where I thought you was going with this when you first started asking the question. If you were to pour estrus in that scrape, and another doe come be bopping by that was kind of coming into estrus, and she smells that estrus, she could, don't mean that she would, but it could flag her, and she turn and go off. Not an alarm off, but you can see a decisive decision not to hang around. There's a reason for that. What you just told her, there's a doe standing here. She knows that smell too. And she knows that if there's a doe standing there, there's going to be what there? Bucks. And if there's a buck there and she's coming in, she don't want to be ran. So she's going to get out of the way of that scent because she don't want that sucker to run her. Because it's just irritating her. The other one's ready for him to be there. See what I'm saying? So
yes,
two different intensities. So yes, when you put scent out, it tells all animals similar things. So I've told the story where Eddie Salter, you know Eddie, we were filming in Why Not Hunting Club, and I got in late, and Eddie put a tarsal gland up, and he flagged me in and showed me where to get up, and I got up, and he said, "There's a scrape," and I hung a tarsal gland, put some buck urine out, and got up, and he left. And I don't know, about an hour after daylight, here comes this doe, and she's coming around a little old bend in the creek, little old branch, really, maybe 30, 40 yards in front of me, bow hunting. And I kind of was watching her, and I looked behind her, here come this little buck. That little sucker, little cow horn. Oh, dude, he was in high cotton. He had him a cougar. He had him a mature woman. And you could tell, man, he was prancing. He was following that girl. He just knew, he had his big boy panties on. You know, he was following that mama. They come around the bend like a horseshoe around in front of me, 30, 35 yards. And I knew downwind was dead in front of me. When they got downwind of that scrape, Jody, and that doe smelt that tarsal and that buck urine at that scrape, you know what she did? She turned and pivoted just like a Marine. She pivoted and turned and came just as straight up to me as she could come. That buck was maybe 3 or 4 or 5 steps behind her. As soon as he hit it, he pivoted and went across that branch. Never looked back. Now, they both smelt the same thing. 2 total different reactions. She gave that young boy up for a mature man, and he didn't want his ass kicked. That's the difference. Okay. So scent tells animals when and where it is, tells them what frame of mind, what they're smelling is in. So, you're not doing anything wrong. Man, it'd be neat as all get out to do that this year with the film again. Try to get it on your camera there and document it. Call back in.
Yes, sir, I will.
All right. Well, listen, Jody, we appreciate you calling again. Always glad to talk to you. And you call us back.
I appreciate you taking time out for me, sir.
Man, we appreciate it, Jody. Thanks so much for calling. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You have a good night, sir.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty, Big Jody had one question. Hey, folks, so, what we're going to do here, we got what? We got one. This is the reason we try to catch up on you, folks. We got time for one question, they're saying. Big Paul Steelman. Big Paul, we know Paul. Could you please explain the difference between Hot Mama and Buried Illegal foams? When and how much do I use? I have all the foams. Also, how much reserve buck or estrus should I use on each sit? If I use too much, will it spook them? I'm not hunting over bait. All good questions, not hard. Let's take the first one real quick. Hot Mama and Barely Legal. Hot Mama's just that. That is the peak of estrus when she's willing to stand. Barely Legal is just regular doe urine. Regular doe urine. Hot Mama's just that. Hot. That's hot sauce, hot sauce bottle, Hot Mama, hot estrus. That's what that is. Barely Legal, regular doe urine. Great early season. Early season. Great for early season. And it's not going to hurt you later in the year. It's just less effective. You want to use buck and estrus on in. You have all three foams, pre-peak and post. Great system. Appreciate it. How much reserve buck or estrus should I use at each set? Jody, doesn't matter if it's buck or estrus or doe urine. If you can smell it good, they can smell it great. The only exception as to how much scent I use is the scenario that Jody and I were just talking about. If I have to doctor up a scrape because I got a buck snort tunnel, then I'm going to put more scent in there because I'm going to load his nose up. Outside of that, general rule is if you can smell it good, he can smell it great. And there's no such thing as putting too much scent out. You know, we encourage. Tom was looking at me like, you gonna die? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. We encourage you, pour the whole bottle out. Not necessary, but you pour the whole bottle out. Think about it. Seriously, 3 ounces, deer's gonna urinate more than 3 ounces at a time. But there's no reason to pour it out because he can smell it fine. You know, rule of thumb, the hotter it is, the more you're going to have to use. The colder it is, the less you're going to have to use because it'll stay longer, carry further. Okay? So a good question, a lot of good questions and a quick answer there. And I'm glad you're not hunting over bait. Not that if you're in the state you're in that it's legal to do, that's not a big fan of shooting over bait. Period. All right, guys. Believe it or not, it's gone. Get the calls coming in, and folks. Listen, we're going to do it. It's Thursday night. It's the 14th, 15th of July here. We're halfway over, man. We're headed toward deer season. We're getting ready for it. You hear the people asking the questions. We'll talk to you next Thursday night on Hunting the Rut Hotline, folks. You got questions? We're gonna have some answers. We'll talk to you next Thursday night.